Hi everyone and welcome to this video, the last in this series on how to improve your writing by getting to grips with grammar. In this video, we're going to look at relative and adverbial clauses. In the previous videos in this series, we looked at clauses and phrases, common errors, and some sophisticated punctuation. And if you haven't already, I would recommend watching the other videos in this playlist before this one, particularly the ones on clauses. Relative clauses and adverbial clauses are both types of subordinate clause. We saw previously that a subordinate clause is a clause that doesn't make sense on its own and needs an independent or main clause to help it. It also begins with a subordinating conjunction, words like when, while, despite, because, if, after, once, even though, only, whenever, and many more. A relative clause is a type of subordinate clause that must come in the middle or at the end of a sentence because it is giving us more information about the noun. For example, my cousin, who is a brilliant footballer, plays for Cork City. My grandfather was a scientist, which is what I want to be. As we've seen with other subordinate clauses, you can usually move them around, providing you use the commas correctly. So for example, I was cold even though I brought my coat can be written as, even though I brought my coat, comma, I was cold. But with our previous example, we can only use it after the noun that it refers to. We couldn't say, who is a brilliant footballer? My cousin plays for Cork City. So relative clauses are a type of subordinate clause. They don't make sense on their own, that give us more information about the noun in the sentence, but they must come after the noun. So who is a footballer comes after my cousin because it's giving us more information about the noun in the main clause. The other type of subordinate clause that we're going to look at is called an adverbial clause. An adverbial clause tells us more about the verb in a sentence. So for example, we could have the following simple sentence: my cousin plays football. We could add to it by saying my cousin plays football every evening. But sometimes we need more information. My cousin plays football every evening because he is getting ready for trials at an English club. So in this sentence, this last one, we can see that we are being given more information about why he is doing the verb, why he is playing football. A relative clause gives you more information about the noun, in this case the cousin, but the adverbial clause gives you more information about the verb that is being done, in this case the playing of football. And with an adverbial clause, you can move it around. Because he is getting ready for trials at an English club, my cousin plays football every evening. My cousin, because he is getting ready for the trials at an English club, plays football every evening. But as always, keep an eye on the commas. You need to use the commas correctly to separate your clauses and phrases from each other. So in this video, we've seen that there are two types of subordinate clause, relative and adverbial. A relative clause gives us more information about the noun in a sentence and must come after the noun. Its position is restricted. An adverbial clause gives us more information about the verb in a sentence, and it can be at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end. To finish with, we're going to look at a sample paragraph with relative and adverbial clauses removed and then added in so we can see their impact. The referee blew his whistle. The game had begun. John took the ball over the halfway line and looked up to see who was open. He passed through the defence to where the striker was running. Time seemed to stop for a moment, and then all of a sudden he saw the net shake and cheers went up in the crowd. They had scored. The referee, who had a reputation for being very strict, blew his whistle. The game had begun. John took the ball, even though there were two players marking him, over the halfway line and looked up to see who was open. He passed through the defence, just as he had practiced, to where the striker was running. Time seemed to stop for a moment, and then all of a sudden he saw the net shake and cheers went up in the crowd. They had scored. Relative and adverbial clauses allow us to add more information and bring more nuance to a piece of writing. We just have to be able to recognize them so we can punctuate them correctly. I hope that this video and all the videos in this series have been useful. If you haven't already, please subscribe and feel free to leave a comment if you've got any suggestions of other things that I could cover or any questions about what we've looked at. Make sure to look at some of my other playlists and videos on writing and on English generally.